Hello there, YouTube. This is the Rogue Gem Player here, and I'm coming at you with an updated version of Gem Knights. This is post the Battles of Legend set and the current ban list that has just been released. This is basically the Gem Knight deck that I've been kind of messing with, and I kind of really like it. I managed to finally finish the extra and all that fun stuff, getting all the cards for it. So I figured we, show it off and have some fun with it. I kind of want to max the rarity out this deck, but I really don't want to commit the time for it. So we're going to start with 3 copies of Nephrim. Gem Knight Nephrim is absolutely amazing. This is the card that, quite frankly, we should have had at the very start. This is so busted, it's not even funny. So for those of you who don't know, Gem Knights are fusion-based, and they kind of now can do board breaking more than anything else, in my opinion, which is, I think, is far more valuable now, just because of the way the deck operates. But it does have a go first version of the deck now, which helps as well. So Nephrim is the best card in the deck. You search a Gem Knight card on normal or special, and then when it's in the graveyard, or when it's sent to graveyard, you can send a card from your hand to the grave and then special summon it, and then it also gives you an additional normal summon. So it has 3 effects, and you can use them all in the same turn. It's absolutely ridiculous. It's like a custom card. And it's a fairy, which is a fairy light, which is important for some fusions. We then play 3 copies of Gem Knight Holocore. This is the other card, that other main deck monster we did get in the set. And basically it's like a Mathmech Circular, for those of you who are familiar with them, where you can send a Gem Knight normal monster or Gem Knight fusion specifically from your deck to the graveyard and special summon this card from your hand. It does summon it in defense mode, but then when it's in the graveyard, when your opponent activates a card or effect, you can banish, while you control a Gem Knight fusion monster, so keep that in mind. You banish 3 Gem Knight cards from your graveyard, including this card, and then you negate it, and then all your Gem Knight monsters on the field currently gain 1,000 attack. So you can use this to kind of disrupt things like Nibiru and things like that, and now it has some installation against dumb effects, and it can negate basically anything. We then play 3 copies of Gem Knight Quartz. If you want to cut this in going first, to 1, it's fine. But I like the fact that it has an additional effect where if you use it as material and it's sent to the graveyard or banished, it does add a Gem Knight monster from graveyard to hand. But the first effect is when if your opponent controls a monster, you discard it and set a fusion continuous spell directly from the deck. It does lock you into Gem Knights for the rest of the turn, so keep that in mind. But this is one way you can search out Brilliant Fusion or anything with fusion in the name. So then we go on to the random support cards. We play 3 copies of Gem Armadillo. In older versions of the deck, it wasn't really that great, mainly because it was either really searchable through Block Dragon, which we can no longer use, or it was just the fact that it wasn't a Gem Knight card or monster, so you couldn't search it. But now there's ways of searching this card out, not to mention that what it does end up getting can be anything now. It's like your normal summon on this is actually pretty useful. We then play for the last the multiples of Gem Knights. We then play 3 copies of Gem Knight Obsidian. So I'm kind of messing with this because the idea is you are still playing the vanillas, and you're playing a couple of Geminis, so it gives you recursion and continuing your plays while giving you more material. And plus, you want to draw this. You want to search everything else in the deck. We then play, for the remaining Gem Knight stuff, we are going to be playing 1 copy of Gem Knight Amber, 1 copy of Gem Knight Eloy, and 1 copy of Gem Knight Garnet. These are the quote-unquote vanillas that we are playing. Holocore can only send Garnet. It cannot send these 2, but these are normal monsters in graveyard, which trigger off of which can help be brought out by Obsidian. They have additional effects that help to recur cards back to hand to keep your plays going. It helps when you're trying to go into a grind game or you're trying to get into a certain situation where it will board build into a board breaking board. And then for the last 2 Gem Knight specific monsters, we are playing Brilliant Rose and Crystal Rose. You can resolve both of these cards in the same turn. One is basically a Prisma that you can from hand or deck to the grave. And the other one allows you to discard a Gem Knight or Melodious card, just special summon it, and then it allows you to send a Gem Knight or Melodious monster from extra deck to graveyard, and then it becomes the name, type, and attribute until the end of the turn. So it does allow you to foolish another monster if you absolutely need it. So this is good for kind of making sure you always have material. For the non-engine, we are playing 3 copies of Ash Blossom and Joy Spring, 2 copies of Effect Veiler, and 2 copies of Droll and Lockbird. If you have Molcharmies, you can play Molcharmies. I will say that they did get announced for the as a reprint in the new 5D's character decks that are going to be releasing next sometime during the month. So keep that in mind. They are going to be reprinted in that if you are looking for them. Not bad considering the other reprints that are in it. Now for spells, we are going to be playing 3 copies of Gem Knight Dispersion. This card is the new search spell. You can resolve both effects in the same turn, and it's also a branded fusion. And I'll explain why. So how this card works is when you can fuse summon a Gem Knight fusion from your extra deck using monsters from hand or field, but if you have a Gem Knight fusion spell, the Gem Knight fusion spell in your graveyard, you can use up to 2 non-rock monsters from your deck, as long as they were Gem Knights. So it basically becomes branded fusion because you're just going to use 2 monsters in the deck to summon a monster, unless you absolutely have to make the three material one. And then in addition, it does allow you to add a gem monster from deck or banishment to your hand, but your opponent takes half effect damage. This was also present on Nephrim. The claws for half effect damage. This is mainly so you can't use Lady Lapis Lazuli to burn your opponent. That's the only reason they have that clause in. Well, they give her making something like that. And then we're playing 2 copies of Gem Knight Fusion. If you want to cut it down to 1, that's fine. I like having 2 because having the ability to always have 1 available for Holocore is pretty good. Not to mention, sometimes you lose 1 copy to dumb stuff, and you just need to have the ability to have another one. We then play 1 copy of Brilliant Fusion and 1 copy of Scattered Fusion. These are the 2 targets that Quartz searches. We can only play 1 Brilliant Fusion currently, and Scattered Fusion is far inferior to Brilliant Fusion, but it's one that you can still search, because if you're searching it through a Quartz, you already have the conditions to activate it anyway. They do basically the same thing where you can summon a Gem Knight Fusion from your extra deck using materials from the deck, exception that this one can only summon non-rock monsters. So keep that in mind as well. And then we are playing 3 copies of Lightning Storm, the 1 Called by the Grave, 1 Triple Tactics Talent, 1 Triple Tactics Thrust, 1 Foolish Burial as our non-engine related component cards. This is good for board breaking and getting into just helping start up the deck and just punishing your opponent for overextending. We then play 3 copies of Infinite Impermanence because that is the only trap that I want to play in this deck right now. If you have like the Dominus cards and they don't conflict, or if you want to try something different, you can play that as well. For the extra deck, we are going to start with the Gem Knight stuff. We're going to start with 2 copies of Gem Knight Quartz. Phantom Quartz. You are going to resolve this card. I am not kidding. This card must resolve. And that's why we play 2 of it. You search a Gem Knight card from deck to hand on summon. You pay 1,000 to basically shuffle back materials from your banished graveyard, which is important because it does summon a fusion, so you can recycle resources, put monsters back. You can dump as many materials as you need. This is why you can use things like the new Brilliant Rose that sends an extra deck monster to the graveyard, because you can recur it. So, not to mention, this is just absolutely amazing. And then once you've used it, you just kind of use it as material for making other things. We then play 1 copy for the fusions. We are playing 1 copy of Gem Knight Seraphonite, 1 copy of Gem Knight Topaz, 1 copy of Lady Rose Diamond, 1 copy of Aquamarine, 1 copy of Gem Knight Prismara, and then the 1 copy of Gem Knight Zirconia as our quote-unquote generic targets. The ones that are not rock are important for the next card, and that is Gem Knight Master Diamond Dispersion. This is only a one of. So how this card works is requires 3 gem monsters. So you can use Gem Armadillo, and then during the main phase, you can quick effect send this card to summon up to 3 Gem Knight monsters that are non-rock from your graveyard or extra deck, ignoring summoning conditions. So keep that in mind. You can cheat out all of these monsters. So and then when it's in the graveyard, if one of them is destroyed by battle, or you can special summon it back, and then you can recur more monsters again if you want. So keep that in mind. So we usually summon Seraphonite, depending on your board, Lady Rose, that type of thing. We then play 1 copy of Master Diamond, the original one, and then we play 1 copy of Lady Brilliant Diamond, which is good to get into any of the other ones because it does turn any one card into a big beat stick. We then play for the remaining extra deck stuff, which are just links. We're playing 1 cross sheet. You're going to resolve this. This is part of various combos that require to recur a monster, as long as you're not Xeno-locked, which doesn't happen until after, generally speaking. And there's even then only 1 or 2 of them only apply it afterwards. We're playing a copy of Sprite Sprin. This is part of a combo that uses this to make Prismara, while dumping the Rose monsters to the graveyard, which you can recur, like Crystal Rose, the 1 IP Masquerena, and the 1 copy of SP Little Knight. These are the only links you absolutely have to play. If you don't have an SP, you should get one because it's been reprinted enough times. So keep that in mind. So that is the deck for the most part. It's a pretty cool deck. Like, I'm not kidding. It's kind of one of those, it's always evolving, and there's so many ways you can play it. And with the new support, the deck is not totally lynched on outside support. Yes, the FTK was a big thing. You could probably still do it, but you do need a lot, like extra engines, and you can streamline this deck to the point where you can only summon just the bare minimum and still resolve it. Like, as soon as you get to Dispersion, you pretty much have the deck, because you're using Dispersion to summon out, if you're going first, Aquamarine, you generally summon these 3 off when you do, because this allows you to bounce a card when it's used. This is a disruption, and this is just another generic or just a material that you can use that helps your combo in the turn. And then during the time you don't, you can summon, Prismara and Topaz, which Topaz with the original Master Diamond can just double attack and burn your opponent. So let me know what you guys think. It's a cool deck. Like I said, I'm sure eventually we'll get more support that breaks the deck, like probably a new actual fusion spell, or maybe a new trap, because we do have traps, but not really all that many. So let me know what you guys think. Comment, rate, subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.